back to Vanessa.
Yeah, very quickly. So I'm going to end with two videos. First of all, both these videos are based on the premise that the establishment of the Israeli state, or what I would call the Zionist state, was basically a hit-and-run colonialist project by the British. The history of that is in these two links, if Americans knew, and then also this backup at Mondo Vice, if you want to move on, Mike.
Yep.
So those two articles will give you the very concise history of what went on. Now, the first video is from an intellectual and historian, Shahid Bolson. He has a very controversial past. He has put out a video disputing that controversial past, which is up at his YouTube channel. So let's just roll this and listen. I think he talks a lot of sense.
We should more or less be on the same side, but they keep making you do things that make it impossible for us to side with you. And that's the whole trick, and you keep falling for it. We don't have a problem with Jews. We never did. Muslims don't have a problem with Jews, and history attests to that fact. But the people who do have a problem with Jews are the biggest backers of Zionism, and we do have a problem with Zionism. And you should too, because it's a plot that's against you and not for you. If you think about it, they're tricking you in every which way. The U.S. didn't defeat the Nazis and liberate the concentration camps. Russia did that. Some of the biggest backers of the Nazis were in America. And after the war, they brought over all the top Nazis in Operation Paperclip, and you know it. And right now, they're backing an army in Ukraine who literally fly the swastika, fighting against the country that ended the Holocaust. And you're supporting them. You see how confused you are? Don't you see how they've never changed? How the West has never changed? Don't you see how they want you to be against anyone who ever gave you refuge, anyone who was ever decent to you? And you still think this is support? You still think this is love? You think this is friendship? They're using you and they're ruining you because they never stopped being anti-Semitic. That's the truth. They never stopped being anti-Semitic. So my message to Israelis would be, stop being led by the nose by anti-Semites and actually make peace with the Semites, with the Arabs, with the Muslims, and get yourselves free once and for all from the United States, from Europe, and from Zionist anti-Semitic manipulation, because it's going to be the death of your country. It's going to be the death of your society. And like I said, it's going to be the death of your souls. Because in order for you to do what the United States wants you to do, you have to do things that are against your belief system. You have to do things that are against your morality. You have to do things that are against your own sense of humanity. And it's going to destroy your reputation. And it is destroying your reputation all across the world, and more importantly, across the global South, which is where the future is. So you need to stop being manipulated by the West. You need to stop being manipulated by the United States and stop being manipulated by the people who are taking money from the United States and lining their pockets with it. They're sacrificing your children, they're sacrificing your sons and daughters, they're sacrificing your quality of life, and they're sacrificing your future just to line their pockets. Everybody knows that Netanyahu is doing nothing now but trying to save his political career, no matter how many lives have to be lost, Palestinian lives or Israeli lives. He doesn't care, and neither does America. So you need to wake up and start using that great brain that we all keep hearing about.
I'd just like to, sorry, Vanessa, if I may, I'd like to say that I've listened to all of that clip. So we just had a part of it there and encouraged the audience to listen to all of it. It made me think. The calm delivery I really liked. But of course, he's talking about a nation being led by the nose, but I feel here I am in UK in 2023, and I'm in a nation which is being led by the nose by individuals that I do not feel have got the best interests of this country at heart. And yet what do? They're planning on a global scale, on a Davos scale, in order to change the way this society functions and the US society functions and the way societies function in the European Union. And it doesn't surprise me at all that we would have the same problems in Israel itself, where the government is not necessarily what people think. So I'm just going to say it's worth watching the whole clip. and thinking about the country that you live in, wherever you are in the world, because it seems to become increasingly clear that our governments have an agenda between themselves and not in the best interests of people in their own nation states.
And for the people in the chat box that didn't catch the name, it's Shahid Bolson. So sorry, yeah. Vanessa, go ahead.
We'll also discuss him a little bit more, maybe an extra. But I think it's worth pointing out that documentation shows that, for example, in the late 1890s, after the inception of Zionism, most Jews and Jewish leaders at that time dismissed Zionism as the latest anti-Semitic cult. Very important. So the last video is Rabbi Yisrael Feldman. You can follow him on Twitter, Torah, Judaism, Jews United Against Zionism. This is a relatively short clip, but you can watch the whole thing on Twitter.
The Zionists do not represent the Jewish people and certainly not speak in the name of the Holy Torah. The very name Israel was stolen by them. Authentic Jews around the world demand that the entire land and all rights be restored to the Palestinian people. As Jews, we say that our people will be more safe and our religion more respected under Arabs who believe in God and fear Him than under these heretics, Jews only by birth, who make war against Judaism and humanity. We pray for the speedy and peaceful dismantlement of the State of Israel, and for the time when Palestinians and Jews will once again live side by side in peace and harmony.
I think it's just interesting to get that opinion, which is echoed, by the way, by many Jews in America, in Europe, and in the UK. And we're seeing more and more Jews going onto the streets to demonstrate against what their government in Israel is doing.
Yes.
Okay, Vanessa, thank you very much for that. I'll just say back to our audience today that the views that have been put across, we're pleased to put across because we think they're important issues which we need to talk about. We also know that there are individuals who wish to put across comment from an Israel perspective, and that is only right. And within UK Column ourselves, we are covering as much as we can of this tremendously emotive situation. So today is Friday. Monday will be another UK Column News where we'll be looking at other aspects of what's happening. But nobody should be in any doubt that the position of the UK Column is that we want this horrific violence to stop, whether it's in Gaza, whether it's in Israel, whether it's in Ukraine. And we believe that it's going to take a lot of effort by a great many people in many nations to call their own governments to account to stop this violence. And we'll leave you with that thought on this Friday afternoon. But thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back at the same time on Monday.
We'll be back for Extra before
We will be back for Extra as well. So if you're a subscriber, join us then. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.